I just finished building the 10th scale Mercury chassis kit from Killerbody. Aside from its ultra realistic scale appearance, this thing is loaded with some cool features. Locking and unlocking diffs, 2-speed transmission, and lots more. Now I've already built this thing, so I'm not going to show you the detailed build, but we will jump in and check out the chassis and the hard body that I've got on it. You can see I did the Land Cruiser, the LC70. Bet you thought I was going to do a Gladiator, huh? Maybe in the future. But we're going to check out the kit, check out the hard body, then we're going to hit the trails. I'm going to show you this thing in action. I'm going to demonstrate all the key features so you can see exactly what this thing's capable of and how it operates. There's a lot to go over in this kit. This thing's mighty impressive. So let's jump in and check out the build. Alright my friends, here is the Mercury chassis kit itself. I figured we'd highlight the chassis since it's the newest addition to the Killerbody lineup. This chassis has been teased for a while. I think it was first announced more than a couple years ago, and it's finally released. This is designed to work with two different bodies from Killerbody. You can use the LC70 Land Cruiser, or you can use the Jeep Gladiator, both of which are incredibly scaled, look amazing. It is worth noting that depending on what body you're going to run, you want to pick a certain configuration of the chassis. What we'd have here with the LC70 is going to have a different rear suspension component than you do with the Gladiator. But you can also convert the LC70 chassis to the Gladiator if you want to. There's an upgrade for the coilover rear suspension, which we'll get to in a minute. So the chassis itself is a combination of plastic and metal. It's interesting they did not use a metal chassis completely. What you've got is plastic pieces. A lot of these rear components here are plastic. Same with the front. It's thick, heavy-duty plastic. It's just interesting they went primarily plastic. You do have metal reinforcement beams that you bolt in here. So the whole thing, it's okay. It does have some flex there. So while it does maintain a very scale, realistic look, it is not a metal chassis. Let's look underneath here. In the front, we've got a 3-link suspension setup. We've got friction damp shocks with some coil springs here. There are 2 different springs that come with this. There's a long and a short set. It's also got limiting straps that come with the kit. We've got straight axles here. Turning radius on this isn't incredibly sharp. I think it's about 40 degrees worth of steering on this. For my servo, I opted to just use a Spectrum servo that I had from one of my other SCX10 builds. Pop that in there, so any standard size servo should fit no problem. The rear suspension on this, with the Land Cruiser model, you get leaf springs with friction damp shocks here as well. Super realistic look here. Very smooth operation, not a lot of travel. It's a little bouncy out on the trail. Looks authentic, although probably a little too bouncy, I would say. For what it is, they do a fairly good job. I would have liked to have seen oil shocks on this. While we're underneath the truck here, it comes with steel drive shafts. This flat component here, this is your battery box. So you turn this lever and you access the battery right there. You will need a fairly thin battery here to fit in this compartment, but it's nice that you can access that. It's hidden away and protected underneath there. So you can access the battery, take it out for charging without having to remove the hard body. We've got simulated exhaust headers here in the rear, and we've got a muffler. A couple different configurations. You can have straight going off the back. I had that, which is why I have this exhaust hanger here, but it was colliding with my body, so I have to put the optional bend here to make it come out behind the rear wheel. We've got a scale fuel tank in the back. It looks like a real vehicle. It's incredibly detailed, and as I was building it, it felt like I was assembling a real vehicle. It was incredible, the detail in this thing. This particular model sits on these steel wheels. It's a 1.68 inch wheel, I believe, wrapped in these super scaled Dunlop tires. These wheels are actually nice and heavy, very solid. Tires do an okay job. Not rock crawler tires by any means, but they look ultra scale, which is really what this thing is going for. Up front here, the whole motor transmission combination, this looks fantastic. It's got a super scale drivetrain looking. I mean, it looks so real. What I was not able to fit on here, there's actually a working fan here. I don't believe there's any type of component that turns the fan, but it does have rubber belts and everything, and you can turn it by hand, but it just looks incredibly real. Killerbody recommends a 540 size motor in here to fit nice and tight under this cover. And they also recommend a 2-in-1 brushless combination motor in ESC. My local hobby shop was out of them and I didn't have an extra. So what I did was I stuck a 550 brush motor in here. Actually took it off of my Vanquish Phoenix. And I ran everything over to my ESC and receiver combo here. Not the cleanest look, but I was really in a hurry to get this thing up and running. I was too excited to wait. So I did the best I can. Just know that you can clean this up significantly with a different motor and ESC combination. The transmission itself, we're spending some time on here, is very impressive. So this is a 2-speed transmission. There's a high and low operation. You can also switch it from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive. I mentioned the steel drive shafts that connect the motor to the axles. The axles, these are cool because you can lock and unlock the differentials. You can see the cable running from this little switch right here, runs into the micro servo in the back here on this side actually, that operates the locking and unlocking diffs. There's 2 other micro servos in the front here. This is going to operate your 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive setup. That's this switch right here. Actually, I want to go ahead and demonstrate this for you guys here. Hang on. All right, here we go. So I use the Radio Master MT12. You are going to want a radio and receiver combination that's got at least 5 channels on this if you're going to run the full suite of functions on here. So I went with the MT12. I've got a 6-channel receiver in here. Was able to program everything with my MT12 utilizing these 2 little switches on the bottom and my 3-way switch here. So for the 2-speed transmission, which is this right here, this is on a 3 position, so it's in low speed right now. There's low gear. There's a neutral. And then there's high speed. Now the 2 and 4-wheel drive right here with this other micro servo, I've got this on a lower switch here, I believe. 2-wheel drive right there. Now I am still messing around with my servos here. I am finding them to be a little bit sticky. I wish I'd run servos with a little bit more juice. These little E-Maxes are struggling a little bit here. But anyway, there's your 2-wheel drive. And then now I have the locking and unlocking diffs. So I'll do this here. I've got this stronger Enduro micro servo in the back here that pulls these 2 cables here to unlock and lock the diffs. So we should be unlocked right now. It might take a little bit too. Okay, now you see we've got open diffs right now. Now if I want to lock them, you can see that little arm fall back into place. I'm still messing with my cable tension here. This has been a little bit of a challenge, but it is functional, it is working. See, now they're locked up again. So very cool functions in this thing. Now let's put the body on it so you guys can see how the body looks on here. The body bolts onto the chassis. I'm just going to set it on for now so you can see how it looks. Great looking body. I didn't paint this because again I was in a hurry to get this done. But the body, this is my first time working with Killerbody anything. So assembling the chassis and the body together was really cool. This is just very, very high quality components. Incredible detail on this thing. Still got some work to do I want to do on the body. If I keep this body on it, I definitely want to do the full interior. Right now you can just see the wires and everything in there. There is a dashboard in here with some graphics and some stickers and a steering wheel. It does come with 2 different dashboards if you wanted to run a left or right hand drive, which I thought was pretty cool. There's options to do a full light kit also. Now this one has the clear lenses all throughout, but did not come with the light kit. That might be something else I do in the future as well. So lots of options to customize this and make it even more realistic, which is very impressive. You can see with the body on here, you get a little bit of bounce there. This is where I would have really liked to have had some oil damping shocks on it to take out a little bit of that bounce. There is some additional functionality with the body too. There's a way to have the hood open up, the doors to open. I believe the tailgate can open and close as well. I have all of that fixed right now. But again, lots of things to do to this down the road to really make it your own and customize it the way you want. Now before we hit the trails, let's talk about the build. Now the body was quite easy to assemble. The body had nice clear instructions, went together in about 2.5 hours to put the whole body together. The chassis kit, however, given that this is a pre-production model, they still don't have a manual available for these things yet. So I fumbled my way through assembling this chassis with no instructions other than a video that was sent that was at 10x speed, I think. Thankfully, I was able to find some other YouTube videos of the chassis assembly, and I was able to get it done, but I sunk a lot of time into putting this thing together.
It's been 84 years. It's okay, just...
It was made a little easier by the fact that some of this is pre-assembled. The axles are pre-built, the transmission is pre-built, so the really nitty-gritty mechanical components are already assembled for you, which is really helpful. So if I'd had clear instructions, I think this would have been a really simple build. So why don't we hit the trail so I can show you guys this thing in action? It's super cool to watch it drive around, and I'm really pumped to show you guys all the features that this chassis has. So let's go hit the trails. All right, here we are with the Killerbody Mercury chassis and the LC70 body. Going to give you guys some demonstrations on the trail here how this thing works. Right now I'm in low gear. I can switch it into high gear, put it in neutral if I want, and then switch it to high gear. High gear's got decent wheel speed. It's pretty quick. Definitely, I would say, faster than a brisk walk. Right now, you know, I'm running the 550 brushed motor in here. If you had a brushless, it'd be much faster, but this is good for us right here. Crawling around in high gear, we'll see how it does. Going up and down these inclines and declines. I've got the diffs locked. I'm in four-wheel drive. I can see if we can do some demonstrations here. So I should be, now I'm in two-wheel drive only. So just click this thing down to two-wheel drive and I'm stuck here.
I think I found a walking trail.
Let's switch it into four-wheel drive. Just like that. Very cool. All right, I'm opening up the diffs here. We're gonna come up against this obstacle. Let's see if I can demonstrate this. There we go. So with open diffs, so we're stuck right there. If I lock them,
Look, there's another sign.
there we go. Up it goes. This thing is ultra scale looking. Not a huge performer, obviously, but it just looks so good out on the trail and out on the rocks here. If I had the full interior and a driver, you'd swear this thing was real. So much detail on it. We're back up here. See, I go up that incline, no problem with four-wheel drive. Suspension on it's bouncy, if you can see that. You know, it's got the friction damp shocks, leaf springs in the back, those coils in the front. Gives it an authentic yet overly bouncy feel, I would say. The action on them works pretty well. The super scale. I see you, buddy. What's going on up there? The super scale Dunlops do okay out here. These are definitely a moderate terrain tire. This type of trail stuff's perfect for this truck. Kick it down into low gear. Nice. So I'm pretty pumped with the finished product with this truck. It was a lot of work that went into it to get it to where it is now, but having it out here on the trail, seeing everything functioning appropriately, makes it all worth it, I think. So I clear this. Oh, am I stuck? Ah, my rack. I hope I didn't break it. That didn't sound very good. It's definitely delicate. You know, you're gonna want to take caution driving this thing around. I think my rack survived, luckily. For us, I'm not sure what exactly we're going to do with this, whether I keep this body on it or not. I'd like to put the Gladiator body on this chassis because I like the chassis itself, but we'll see. But pretty cool project. Incredible detail, next level realism with this thing. Very, very cool. I'm gonna wrap this up and have some fun with my little guy out here, and I'll see you guys back at the bench. So I actually enjoyed this truck out on the trails a lot more than I thought I was going to. Putting it together, looking at it on the bench, I felt like it was going to be too delicate to really hit the trails and hammer it the way I'm used to, but it was surprisingly solid and I actually had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoy the features of this chassis. The high and low speed transmission is great control in that low gear, and then if you flip it up in high, it's got plenty of wheel speed to keep ahead of you while you're walking down the trails at a good pace. And that's just with my little brushed motor. I can imagine if you put the 2-in-1 brushless combo in here, you'd have way more functionality out of this thing. But I'm really happy with the combo in it right now. Still got some tinkering to do with the diffs in particular. I feel like the 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive and the high and low speed transmission are working really well, although I could benefit from some stronger micro servos. But I am having a little bit of trouble with those locking and unlocking diffs, so I do have to tune that a little bit. And truthfully, with the diffs unlocked, I didn't notice that big of a gain in turning radius or overall steering, so I'm most likely just going to leave them locked. But that functionality is really cool. It just adds to the ultra realism of this whole setup. Not only does it look and behave just like a real vehicle, you've got all of those functions that mimic the mechanical ability of a real vehicle as well. So just very cool and a really neat driving experience with this thing. The Mercury chassis kit goes for about $300. I'll put the link in the description down below if you want to pick one of these up. Depending on which body you go with, you're going to be about $150 to $200 if you want to go with the LC70 or the Gladiator. I'll link those down below as well. And let me know in the comments, what do you think of the Killerbody Mercury chassis kit? And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I'll see you in the next video.